Hello everyone, I am Cool Guy with Planet Destiny, and today we are going to be covering an increasingly popular hand cannon. This particular hand cannon stands out because it's in direct competition with the Eyasluna. We're going to be going over the Crucible Quartermaster's Palindrome. Now, a palindrome is a word, phrase, or sequence that reads the same backwards as forwards. The flavor text reads, "Draw, O coward." This hand cannon is of the 22 rate of fire, 81 impact class. It's a very popular archetype, Fatebringer Eyasluna Imago Loop, and this one can be purchased for 150 marks. It can also be found as a Crucible reward or from Nightfall activities, but today we're going to be going in depth on the vendor roll. Now, with the 22 rate of fire and 81 impact, it's nicely rounded out at 39 for range, stability, and reload. Range is a very important stat on hand cannons, and in this archetype, the top three goes Imago Loop at 40, Palindrome at 39, and then the Eyasluna at 38. The Palindrome's magazine is a little bit low at 9. For the stat portion, you can't help but compare it to the very popular Eyasluna to show some of the strengths and weaknesses of the Palindrome, one of them being that magazine at 9. But compared to the Eyasluna, it has 1 more range, the same reload speed, and 12 less stability. And where they are truly set apart are in the secondary stats. The Palindrome has 20 more aim assist, 14 less equip speed, but it has a 34 better recoil direction stat. So where the Palindrome really loses in the stability category, it makes up for in that aim assistance and recoil direction stat, as well as that plus 1 more range. The recoil direction and aim assist stat really make this weapon, and I can't stress that enough. Here we both have the Eyasluna and the Palindrome here on the Rusted Lands, and to keep the test as close as possible, both have quick draw, both have rifled and rangefinder. The only thing that's different is the Eyasluna has reactive reload, and the Palindrome has spray and play. It's important to note that even though that the range perk is added right here, they look the same, but they are indeed different, as you can tell when you compare them kind of bare boned. We're going to aim at this wall right here. I'm not going to touch anything. We're going to fire the weapon, and let's see what the recoil does for each one. With the low recoil direction stat of the Eyasluna, it drifts off the desired target line to the right. Now, the 94 stat of the Palindrome goes essentially straight up and makes it very easy for you. Now, of course, we're going to control our recoil in our gunfights with these weapons, and in theory, we want to pace our shots. But sometimes in the heat of a gunfight, we sometimes shoot them a little bit faster than a pace. But with the recoil being straight up and down, it helps going against things like flinch and not having to correct the weapon itself when it trails off of the target. It makes follow-up shots a lot easier. As we stated earlier, this weapon can drop as a reward, so as far as rollable perks, we have the same sights as we've always had: Steady Hand, True Sight, Fast Draw, Sure Shot, and Quick Draw. Now in the top first node, we have Relentless Tracker, Triple Tap, Outlaw, Mulligan, and Hot Swap, or you can choose from the bottom node: Partial Refund, Rescue Mag, Last Resort, Icarus, and Spray and Play. In the middle tree in the top perk, they give you a range perk, which is going to be chosen pretty much the majority of the time: Hammer Forged, Reinforced Barrel or Rifled Barrel, and then Small Bore. Now, Reinforced or Rifled will bring the range stat bar from 39 to 62, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. Now, the bottom node is Lightweight, Explosive Rounds, High Caliber, and Casket Mag. The final perk node, everything is good: Third Eye, Reactive Reload, Rangefinder, Hidden Hand, Luck in the Chamber. It's like they got the players in mind when they made this weapon. They're all usable, and if you didn't notice, there's no danger close, there's no exhumed. Those kind of things were left out of the perk pool, which is nice. But the one that we're going to be talking about today is the vendor roll. We have True Sight, Fast Draw, Quick Draw, Mulligan or Spray and Play, Rifled Barrel or Casket Mag, and then Rangefinder. In PvE, hand cannons in general are kind of in a weird spot, and with the Palindrome, there aren't too many utility perks for it. Things like Triple Tap and Explosive Rounds, they're useful, but it isn't necessarily that this weapon is bad. It's just that scouts do everything just a little bit better in PvE. Now, for the vendor roll, the 9 magazine does well with Spray and Play, and things like hand cannon reload gauntlets are only going to help this weapon out. But with how much ammo that you get and how quickly that you run out of it in higher level activities, makes it almost a pain to use. Bungie did, however, help that out a little bit. They reduced the time that magazine comes back when you're completely out. So in the long run, weapons like Thorn, as far as hand cannons go with the burning effect, are going to fare much better in a PvE environment. In PvP is where this weapon shines, and it's where you're going to be seeing it, because as I stated before, it's in direct competition with the Eyasluna. The vendor role has rangefinder and rifled barrel given to you, and that's very important because in PvP, the maximum extended effective range with those two perks on this weapon is 34.5 meters, which is shown right here. Now, this is the furthest point that you're going to do maximum damage, which is 86 to the head, but note, even though this is the furthest point, you want to be within that to have a better chance of landing your shots. With the same setup, the rangefinder and rifled barrel Eyasluna, it's 34 meters, but that's considering that you were lucky enough to get both rangefinder and a high-end range perk like reinforced or rifled. Most players have an Eyasluna with just the high-end range perk. That is 31 meters. That's the maximum fall-off distance. I've used this weapon since right after launch and I've had some really good games with it, but after digging into the stats and just knowing what the weapon is doing has really helped. As a player that has used the Eyasluna extensively, I can feel the changes right out of the gate what this weapon brings to the table, and I'm sure other players feel it as well. You will notice right away the 70 aim assistance and 94 recoil direction stat because those two stats make this weapon. Eyasluna has become very popular in the Crucible, but I feel that if the Palindrome was included in the weapon pool before the Rise of Iron expansion, it would be the one players would be going for. Because with Rise of Iron, players they're getting their feet wet with new weapons, they're having a good time. With so many new weapons, these times are some of the best Destiny has to offer as far as diversity of weapon loadouts. But with that being said, with such a strong vendor role offering rangefinder and rifled barrel with good hidden stats, just like how the Hawksall came out with Counterbalance, avid hand cannon users are going to flock to this weapon. You're going to see a lot more and more and more. And as far as how this weapon performs, you have a high base range, a high-end range perk, and then rangefinder. You pair that and combine that with 70 aim assist and a very high recoil direction stat. It makes the first shot accuracy crisp, and ideally you want to pace your shots with hand cannons for the maximum effectiveness, but the way the stats work on this weapon, it really favors the user. Follow-up shots shooting a little bit faster than a paced are some of the most reliable I've seen in a long time on a hand cannon. For PvP rolls, if you get it as a drop, you're kind of set up out of the gate for success. You do get a range perk and a 50-50 shot of getting a high-end range perk like rifled or reinforced. And then the last node, third eye, reactive reload, luck in the chamber, hidden hand, and rangefinder. You're almost guaranteed a usable roll. This weapon feels great, it performs well, and we very well might have a new sheriff in town as far as year 3 legendary hand cannons go in the 2281 archetype. Let us know in the comments if you picked up the Palindrome or maybe you got it in a drop already. What do you think about it? We would love to hear your thoughts. There's going to be a link in the description to my channel if you want to stop by and say hi. I have been Cool Guy with Planet Destiny, and we will see you out there, Guardians.